You ready? All right. What's up, guys? I'm Lester, and y'all may be surprised to hear this, but my speech is not about Fortnite. It's actually about football. But before I start, I have a question. How many of you guys have ever had like a mental block? You know, like you gotta do something, and it like should be really easy and simple, but you might mess it up. It gets like in your head to the point where the more you try, the worse it gets. I believe every single one of y'all have had that at some point or another, but this story's about one of my biggest mental blocks and what it took to overcome it. And I think it just proved your mind is your most powerful weapon. So anyways, the story takes place here, KFL Fields, 2011. This is my football team at the time. This is me right here. Now we were pretty stacked on this team, not gonna lie. We had like 5 all-stars. Yes, I was one of them. But despite all that talent, we had one major flaw. The quarterback of the team, which is me, could not handle a snap to save his life. So for those of y'all who don't know, a snap is literally just this right here. Quarterback gets like this, center has the ball, gives him the ball, you run the play. That's simple. But I couldn't do it. I don't know why. I like fumbled it, I guess because I messed it up in practice, and then teammates started making jokes, people at school caught on, so it just got in my head really, really bad. But I mean, despite those problems, we still made it to the Super Bowl. I guess because when you're talented, you can get away with making mistakes against bad teams. But our story begins when we weren't going against a bad team. We were going against someone who was finally up to our skill level. In fact, you could say that we were the underdogs this time. The coach of the Texans, the other team, he was a sponsor for the Houston Texans, the NFL team. So their players have to show up in one of these NFL charter buses like this right here. If that isn't intimidating for 6th grade football, I don't know what is. And our introduction was this. The team moms made a paper banner that says "Go Chargers," and we got to run through it and try to strike fear into the other guys who were sitting 20 feet above the ground, the charter bus. So yeah, everybody was nervous about this game because it was like the talk of the town. People at school are hyped about it. Everyone at work's talking about it. All the girls are going to be there. So everybody's nervous. But I mean, the most nervous person of all is me because I'm the quarterback. I'm the leader. So if I fumble the snaps and make our team lose, like it's all going to fall back on me. Because if you mess up on the biggest stage in front of hundreds of people, you can't come back from that. So I guess my dad and my cousin saw how nervous I was, so they came up with a plan to try to take some pressure off of me. I get to the game on Saturday, like 2 hours before kickoff, and my cousin's there before me, which is weird because I'm always the first one there, and he's dressed like this. Yes, you heard me right. He's dressed like in a chicken costume. And I was like, Jake, what the hell are you wearing? And he was like, I'm going to get inside the other team's head. And I asked him, how? He's like, don't worry, you'll see. I was like, okay, whatever. But deep down, I was praying to God that he did something because I couldn't breathe. I was a nervous wreck. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't even know if I'd make it to kickoff. So the other players, the charter bus arrives, they're showing up. And then as soon as the front door opens and the first player's about to walk out, he runs over there in his chicken costume and he's like, and he starts like yelling at the players. He starts like, he said a racist thing to one of them, which is bad because they're 6th graders. He gave the finger to the coach. How he wasn't kicked out right then and there, I don't know. He should have been. But everybody was getting their cameras out recording. It was the funniest thing. You could feel the whole atmosphere was changed. Nobody was like nervous and tense anymore. Everybody was just laughing, having a good time. Like they forgot we were there for a championship game. But I noticed something though, that the other team when they were warming up, they were distracted, they weren't focused. When they were running their plays, instead of like looking at their coach, they weren't locked in, they were like looking off to the side, bickering back and forth with the chicken. You could just tell they weren't focused. So the game starts. Very first play, they have the ball first. Their quarterback gets under center. He fumbles the snap. He dives after it. But then we recover it. He did the thing that I always do. He made my biggest mistake. And so I was pumped. I was excited. And I wasn't nervous about embarrassing myself anymore. I was hyped. I was determined to play good for my teammates so we could win. So on my first play, I go under center, get the snap, fake a handoff, roll out, teammates open, touchdown. We're up 7-0 in 15 seconds. Couldn't ask for a better start. So we ride that momentum the rest of the way. And instead of us being the one who made mental mistakes, it was them all game who weren't focused. We won 14-0, we were champions, we got our trophies, it was all great. But I guess the moral of the story is when you set your mind to something, and if you have a little bit of luck and support on your side, great things can happen.
All right. Half the time I think I'm a lot younger than I am. I've been there when it started. So I will let go. You gave me a moment of joy of using adult terms to describe the sixth grade football team. The team was stacked. I'm looking at a picture of little kids. That was just a joy. That was just a joy for me. I really appreciate how animated and how much energy you put into this speech in your delivery. And some additional things that are working really well for you with delivery, very disciplined use of language. There weren't any moments where words seemed wasted or unintentional. And you're using a lot of vivid description. Terms that I use to describe, college teams and pro teams, not terms I would always use to describe a sixth grade team. But hey, if a sixth grade team's gonna win, you've got to use those terms. Man up and learn that snap, son. Okay. So I appreciate the physicality of the speech, and I also really appreciate your use of language. You did a good job of weaving in elements of narrative, particularly finding a moral of the story that we can benefit from. A couple things I want you to work on. Like I said, I do like the physical movement in this speech. It always makes me happy when someone falls to illustrate a point. I will do that on occasion when I lecture. But one of the things that seemed unintentional is pacing back and forth. So I want us to go back to the comment that I gave Raytheon in her speech, that I don't necessarily want people to be locked with their feet on the floor, but that doesn't give permission to just walk back and forth in front of the slides. So at a certain part of your speech, you stand where you are, and that's cool. You're going to illustrate a movement or move on to another point. You move, but move really intentionally, find a new place and stay put. That's number one. A couple other things I want you to do for me. Go back to the very first slide you had in your slideshow. And folks, if you're not video recording, your cell phones should be put away right now.
You mean the big this?
The very first. Yeah.
Oh, this?
Okay. You should never see that.
Oh.
All right. I want you to think about when you started your speech. The moment you started your speech, this was up in the background. Think about the reverse psychology effects of having a slide like this up. Speech number one, entertaining speech. Well, the reverse psychology for audiences, no it ain't. I'm going to be extra hard on you. You say you're going to entertain me? How dare you? No, you're not. So, this slide is not serving any purpose for the story. You haven't even given your speech a title to lead us to have high expectations. It's not a good slide for us to see. I can understand why you would want to have a slide like that, so that when you're looking at your USB drive and you're looking at the preview, it's easy for you to see where the file is, so you can double click it. Yeah. But what I would recommend that the students do is, before any image that's pertinent to the speech itself, have your first slide just be a blank screen. A black blank screen that you can stand in front of and it's not blinding you. And when it's time then to talk about how stacked your team was, click that button, go ahead, click it. And there you guys are, okay? One other thing I want you to watch out for with visual aids. This is not just for you, Lester, this is for everyone. It feels really good to create a collage. It can feel really satisfying to have a lot of your favorite pictures all neatly combined on a screen. Yeah. And for photo albums, scrapbooking, that's great. That's how I like to spend my weekends, is organizing my old photos. But one of the things we should keep in mind is that with visual aids, we want each visual aid to focus on a very specific idea. And as I look at this slide, the idea that this slide aims to communicate is, here's a good group of guys, we were on our way to a state championship, and we were stacked. Okay, that image of the team is more important. Put that at the center. This other image that I'm not really sure what this is an image of, it's an empty field, I see a ref. And the score is 0-0, there's 10 minutes to go. What's happening? Nothing's happening in that picture. Okay, put the picture of the team ahead of the other one image per slide. Okay, or the one most important image. All right, make those changes for the future. Thanks, Les.